Max Holloway defeating Brian Ortega, handing Ortega the first loss of his career, and Max Holloway successfully defending his featherweight title. And what a performance this was, one of the fights of the year. And the biggest thing for me was Max Holloway just looking great. There was a lot of issues about his health heading into this fight, the weight cut, everything else, but he certainly silenced those critics, getting a fourth round finish in this one. The doctor actually having to come in and stop the fight. But the main thing here is what's next for Max Holloway. We know Renato Moicano was the backup fighter for this. Is that the next fight for him? Holloway seems sort of open to doing either or, but Dana White wants him to go up to 55, and there's a lot of interesting matchups up there and a lot of fighters in that weight class that do not have opponents. One of the names mentioned tonight is Tony Ferguson, but if you're Max Holloway and you're leaving the featherweight division as champion, do you want to go up and have a non-title fight for your next matchup? I don't know if that's appealing to him. Khabib Nurmagomedov, it looks like Tony would be the next opponent for him. You never know what the UFC is going to do here, but in general, I think Max Holloway's in a great spot right now. Clearly, in the minds of everyone right now as far as a big name opponent for his next fight. Personally, I would like to see Holloway go up to 55 and really just see how he performs there, and maybe in a non-title fight, but make sure he gets paid type thing. I think that's sort of what's best. I don't really have a huge interest in a fight between Moicano or Max Holloway, and I also don't really have an interest of the winner of Chad Mendes and Alex Volkanovski. I say do a vacant title fight at 45 and let Max go up to 55.
I know this is too soon, but you did have a great fight, like you said. Would you like Dana to give you that rematch again with Valentina?
Oh, we will see, there is like a bunch of other good flyweights who are in line, and I don't wanna go like crazy, this year was busy for me. I spent more than 7 months in the States, so I wanna go home to Poland and just enjoy the time with my family. And we will see what's next. I want to challenge myself and chase my other dream and go for the strawweight belt again. So I will wait for Andreas and Rose to fight next year. Rose has only 4 months left to defend the belt, because other way she might lose the belt with no fight, and that's the thing, because I was pretty busy champion. Other champions are pretty busy, but if you don't defend your title once a year, you're losing the belt, and we will see. I felt so good this fight week. The whole camp, I put on a hell of a work, and I'm proud of myself. Like I said, in this sport we don't take second place, and I don't want to say this because I lost, but I said this during the week, that here shouldn't be like, okay, one person is winning, one is losing, but like even the person who lost is not a loser, So that's the thing, and I felt good in the flyweight division. I see how my body reacted to the diet and few more pounds. I was happy, in good mood. I could do more, and definitely it's a good division for me.
Dana White is the boss. The boss is looking for super fights. All the UFC guys, you guys be talking about me fighting at 55 for super fights. So if it's everybody I keep hearing the name Conor, Khabib, and at the end of the day, they got something to figure out. I think so. It's after this fight, actually, right? Their little press thing that they're going on. So hopefully they can figure it out. Wish the best of luck to them, and we can sit down with Dana. We figure it out. Hey, we see what happens. That's a fun fight. I mean, you guys watching Bet It. Someone called me, Tony, so I got a bone to pick. Everybody talk about the top 3 guys, everybody talk about the Tony. Everybody wants to see me and Conor, because we fought when I was a kid. A long time ago. Dennis beat that Max too. Dennis Bermudez beat that Max a couple years ago. So the top 20 featherweights in the world, 30 would beat that Max. So it is what it is. And then Khabib is another undefeated fighter. I got this niche. I guess I just gave an undefeated fighter his first loss. So maybe that one might excite me the most. And we were supposed to have that one. So we see what happens. I don't know. I ain't picky. Feed me. They all can get it.
As a competitor, because you lost to Conor, would he have any more interest to you, just so you could avenge that? You're a competitor, you want to win. You lost to him. Would you want to avenge that more than against somebody else?
Not really. Like as a competitor, I have 3 losses, so I want to get them all 3 back. That's just me. But I want to fight everyone. Whoever. As a competitor, I fight whoever. If you tell me some guy's the best, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, if this the best guy, I'm gonna fight you then. But put your dukes up, man. Let's straight blows.
Valentina Shevchenko is your new flyweight champion. Valentina, you've competed against Joanna over a decade ago, but how did she evolve as a competitor? How did you feel against her now in the octagon tonight?
First of all, I'm very happy that I won the belt in the fight with Joanna, because it was a real fight between 2 real, dedicated fighters, professional fighters, not just like you fight someone who just recently get up and just okay, it doesn't matter. But when you get the belt from the fighter, from your opponent with a good reputation, it feels differently. And of course, I want to thank Joanna for taking this fight and give for the fans everything that they was wanted.
Oh, it was certainly everything all the fans could ask for. Beautiful striking battle between 2 people known for their Muay Thai, but you took it to the ground as well. You showed a great judo prowess as well as great takedowns. What was really the game plan going into this one?
How I said before the fight, my plan is be myself. To be myself, it's the key to the victory. And I did my game. I was myself. I just I'm not the fighter who used just one style. I'm complete MMA fighter, and I'm acting depend with the action of my opponent. And it's difficult to say what is your game plan? Everything, because I was working on every kind situation what I can have during my fight. My coach Paul Fedotov, he was working with in the ground, up in the standing, in everything. And of course, the biggest part that I could wish it was my sister during my training camp, because she has amazing striking, and I can say exactly that after her striking, no one can compare. No.
Right.
What do you want to say about that main event? So Max Holloway defeats Brian Ortega at 5 minutes of the 4th round. So they go to full 4 rounds, and in between rounds before the onset of the 5th, Brian Ortega's, the doctor, I believe, stopped it actually. His corner should have stopped it. I'm a little surprised that they didn't, because he was being put in a bad place, and he's young enough where an additional 5 minutes would have been a horrendous beating for him. But be that as it may, Max Holloway, Jesus Christ, man, what do you want to say about this guy? Let's talk about every element of his win that we can, starting with the context of it. Hilarious. Someone marked it as a TKO loss on Wikipedia, but he lost to Conor McGregor in 2013, right? That was back in August of 2013. Since then, he beat Will Chope, Andre Fili, Clay Collard, Akira Corsani, Cole Miller, Cub Swanson, Charles Oliveira, Jeremy Stevens, Ricardo Lamas, Anthony Pettis, Jose Aldo twice, and now Brian Ortega. That is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 fight win streaks. Folks, I don't give a damn what you're doing inside the Ultimate Fighting Championship. A 13 fight win streak is exceedingly rare. To do it at the championship level for the last 1, 2, 3, 4 fights is absurd. Totally absurd. We're talking about, they keep calling him the greatest featherweight of all time. I don't know if he's the greatest featherweight of all time, because to be that, you have to kind of have a larger body of work, but Jesus, man, that is an incredible body of work. But God, he was just setting him on fire. He was finding a way to keep him at the end of his punches, switching angles, throwing punches in combinations, double jabbing and then throwing a straight, jabbing, hooking, turning, ducking under a punch, pivoting, throwing, and then there was just this volume and onslaught, and Brian Ortega had nowhere to go. He had a nice rally, I think, in that 3rd round, nearly taking the back for a moment, although not really. I won't say getting close in the takedowns, but threatening enough with them that Max had to be mindful of his P's and Q's. Landing some hard shots, as I mentioned before. But first of all, all the questions about Max Holloway, like, I'm a little hesitant to say that they've been completely answered, because you never know if they might materialize again. They kind of materialized out of thin air, as far as we can tell, right? So you're like, well, will they come back? But at the same time, you're like, Jesus Christ, man.